wild garlic, otherwise known as ramsons. So I love this time of year because this is the time of year when wild garlic is coming up all over the forest floor, and you can just smell this. It's just the smell of springtime for me. This is a very closely related species to what you probably think of as garlic, this one. And this is Allium sativa, I think, and this one is Allium ursum, bear's garlic. But this is the native garlic of northwest Europe. You get this carpeting the forest floor in British woodland, if it's an ancient woodland. You can make pestos with it, salads with it, but it's also very rich in folklore. Both types of garlic share very similar folklore. So mainly this is around protection from evil. One thing about garlic I think we all know is that it wards off vampires. I'm not sure how old this is, but I would say it's probably very, very old. But in other parts of Europe as well, it wards off all sorts of malevolent entities. So not just vampires, but sort of spirits that might give you an illness. So there's a few sort of reasons for this. I've had it suggested that it was thought that garlic was once a cure for rabies. And a lot of vampire folklore, some suggest, comes from rabid dogs and rabid humans, you know. So there is that. But more generally, it is scientifically a detoxifying and antioxidant plant. It's very, very, very good for you. So there's a sense in which spirits, negative spirits, you know, imps or demons or just bad ghosts, sometimes give us illnesses. So that, in a nutshell, is why garlic, both kinds, are associated with warding off negative energies. And you see this right back to ancient Greece. Detoxifying qualities of this plant, wild garlic, are known about by the animal kingdom as well. I mentioned this is called bear's garlic. That's one of the, that's the Latin name for it. And when this country used to have bears, what, I don't know, probably almost 1,000 years ago now, and in other parts of Europe where bears still exist, the bears will come out of hibernation and they will make their way immediately to a patch of wild garlic for the first snack a lot of the time. So the bears must know on a cellular level that this is sorting out all the toxins that they would have built up in their muscles and bodies through that long period of hibernation. In some cultures as well, garlic is said to ward off bears, but obviously not at this time of year. Luckily in Britain now you can go and lie down in an ancient woodland and not be worried that you're going to be bothered by a bear, maybe a badger. That's happened to me in the past. This plant is also used in a lot of folk remedies for good luck and protection. So carrying a cluster of these leaves in your pocket brings good luck and protection. So that is the case with this plant. This you know, the more common cultivated garlic has been used in religious ritual for a very long time. We have found this in tombs of Egyptian pharaohs such as Tutankhamun. It is said that oaths were sworn over garlic, but there's also a suggestion that it's associated with the underworld because we find it in tombs. We don't actually know. It could just be a snack for the deceased or left there by a careless builder. We don't really know, but it makes sense with the symbology that this is to do with the afterlife. Usually bulbs that grow underground is connected to the underworld, right? And therefore also the afterlife. We also have this on record in ancient Greece as well, that took a lot of their ideas from ancient Egypt, that the garlic is sacred to Hecate, goddess of witchcraft, the crossroads, fertility sometimes, I'll get back to that, and also often the underworld and the realm of the dead. So an association with the dead there. In the past and today, people have often used garlic in folk magic, and there's lots of sort of reasons to this that are tied to its symbolism and folklore. Sometimes you can take an illness from someone and place it into a garlic bulb, and then you might do something like drive a nail through it into a tree or something like that, and the illness has been transferred to that garlic clove. Also fertility magic, as I've already suggested. Anything shaped like testicles is often associated with fertility. Also anything associated with under the ground is associated with fertility as well. So a lot of the times garlic cloves are used in fertility magic and ritual, and there's a very, very old precedent for this, and I like it when you see that in an ancient context and then rolling through into a medieval and an early modern and even a contemporary context in folk magic as well. So placing garlic cloves on the belly or under the mattress or under the pillow or something like that. Also there is sometimes, I've heard of magical practices, people using two clothes to represent two different people, maybe used as a kind of love spell, maybe with an aspect of dominance. The Romans associated garlic with the god Mars and also the fertility aspects of Mars, but also the protective aspects of Mars. Because of that, Romans often marched on eating garlic to give them courage and vitality in warfare. So they're a more warlike aspect of garlic. So predominantly for warding off evil and curing illness. Wild garlic was also stuffed in plague masks during the plague in London, again to clean the air, to purify the air being breathed in so they didn't get plague. Don't think it worked. So protection, cleansing, fertility, sometimes the underworld. Lots of associations, very old associations with this plant, both the wild and cultivated variety. So if you're in Britain or Northern Europe and you've never foraged garlic, I'm not going to make this a foraging channel, but I really recommend it. Just go for a walk in a patch of old woodland now and just keep your nose open for the smell of garlic. There are a couple of lookalikes, but they're not particularly similar. There's Lords and Ladies, which has a kind of shiny, here's some. So this doesn't really look the same. It's kind of lobed and has a shiny leaf. It'll also make your mouth swell up if you just touch it against your tongue. So I'm not going to do that this time. So something to watch out for when you're picking the wild garlic is this guy. This is called Lords and Ladies. It's not really similar, sort of shiny and dark green. Is it Lords and Ladies? Yeah. So, fucking hell. It makes your tongue and mouth swell up. I don't really know why I did that. But yeah, you sometimes find this underneath wild garlic. So never just pick big bunches of it, because you might pick up some Lords and Ladies with it, and you don't want that, because it'll make your mouth swell up like mine is right now. But that's how you tell Lords and Ladies. Also Lily of the Valley, there's some over there. It looks kind of different. So this here is the wild garlic. It usually covers certain moist forest floors. What you're generally after is slightly smaller leaves like that if it's for salads, but we're making pesto today, so it doesn't matter if you have some of the slightly larger ones in there, but they're a bit more bitter. You can obviously tell it's wild garlic because of the smell, but also these telltale little seed heads here, which if you look inside are filled with flowers, which also work really well just sort of scattered on salads. They're really delicious. This is another kind of wild garlic here. This one's called Jack by the Hedge. It's not quite as pungent as Ramsons, but if you crush it, it does have that garlicky smell, very faintly. Jack by the Hedge. Jack is a popular name for the devil, so it's devil by the hedge. It grows by hedges. Look, here's Jack, here's a hedge. In later folklore, it's said that garlic and onions grew out of the devil's footsteps when he was chased out of paradise. I think it's really good to connect with the landscape and natural world around us, and one way to do that is through foraging, so we pay attention to the plants, but the other way is through folklore, learning the folklore and stories associated with some common plants. So we're not just looking at it through a scientific or modern lens, but in a similar way that our ancestors might have looked at these plants as well. And you just sort of pay a lot more attention, feel a lot closer to the natural world, and a lot more grounded, I find. So foraging and folklore, both good things to get into. Thank you very much, my friends. Thank you very much to my Patreons. I'll see you next time.